everybody. This is the Connection Experience with Dr. Shani, and today's topic is pursue withdrawal dynamics in conflict. It's a super common conflict style that I see with couples a lot, and it often can lead to doing more damage. So we want to grow from conflict. Conflict is unavoidable. It's going to happen, but this dynamic tends to help make couples struggle with connection after they fight. So what is pursue withdrawal dynamic? So in most relationships, you may have two different styles of conflict. You'll have the person who wants to resolve it right away and almost feels anxious when things aren't resolved. And then you have a withdrawer who might need a little space, might need some time to process, or they're conflict avoidant, so they're not in a rush to finish this argument. The pursuer feels the need for connection no matter what, whether it's in conflict, whether it's through affection. This person does not like the silence, does not like the space, does not like unresolved issues, doesn't like things just hanging out there. The withdrawer is conflict avoidant and sometimes feels threatened by heightened arguments, and so they want to avoid more conflict, and then they withdraw. They withdraw because it just feels unsafe in that moment. Doesn't feel like the conversation is going to be productive, so they go and they isolate, they withdraw from the pursuer. So you can see how these two styles might oppose each other. They're opposing needs in that moment. The person that wants to connect and the person that wants to withdraw. If you think of reverse magnets, right? When you take two magnets and you reverse them and they can't connect, so it's like one is pushing and the other is pushing away. This is the same type of dynamic. Distance is kryptonite for the pursuer. They hate it. They hate it. They'd almost rather a fight than silence and distance. So it's any connection is good connection. Any interaction is a good interaction in that moment. A withdrawer, conflict or screaming or yelling or heightened conversations, that's kryptonite for the withdrawer. So they're more likely to withdraw more when the pursuer is reaching for connection and they're not ready. So if you think about it this way, both parties care. Sometimes it looks like the pursuer doesn't care about the feelings of the withdrawer and the withdrawer doesn't care about the feelings of the pursuer. It's really not true. Both of them are trying to get at resolution. Both of them care about the relationship and care about each other. They just have different styles of handling things. And when there's no alignment on how to handle something or no respect for each other's boundaries, it almost makes it worse. So how do we beat this dynamic? Because it happens. You can see it with introverts and extroverts. You can see it with just folks who think differently about how to resolve a conflict, but it's very common. So how do we beat this? I usually tell folks, try and do your own monitoring. Are you really in a state where you can handle this argument right now? Do you need a break? If you do need a break, take one respectfully. If you are the withdrawer and you need the space, let the pursuer know that you are going to come back to it and come back to it. Don't take advantage of that dynamic. You can tell the pursuer, I know you care about this and I care about you. And I care about resolving this conflict. I think we're a little heated right now. I'm going to take a few minutes, maybe a half an hour. I'm going to process and we're going to come right back to it in a half an hour. Sometimes giving the pursuer reassurance that this isn't going to go on for days helps them just put the anxiety somewhere else. If the pursuer is not receptive to that, we got a whole nother problem because now the pursuer is not respecting the boundary of the withdrawer. Sometimes the pursuer is afraid that the withdrawer is never going to come back around to it, and they'll have to keep pushing for that boundary, which doesn't help, right? They'll have to keep pushing for the conflict to be resolved, which again is going to send the withdrawer in the opposite direction. So pursuers, I know you want to get this under control, but you gotta respect people's boundaries. You have to make sure that you are contributing to the relationship being in a safe enough spot for you to get the conflict resolved. Both parties want to get back to their previous state of affection. That's what everybody wants. Everybody just wants the conflict to be resolved so they can get back to feeling happy and connected. So if you think about alignment, that's your common ground. That's where you both agree, even if you have these two different styles, you both agree that you want to get back to some peace, right? So keep that in mind. Everybody wants the same thing, just have different ways of doing it. When you are in a relationship, you set up for a set of just unresolvable issues that come with your differences. And conflict styles is one of those differences that you might not ever get a handle on, right? So a pursuer might not be a withdrawer at any point, and a withdrawer might not be a pursuer at any point. So this might be something that you have to use for a long time. Every once in a while, I'll see things shift depending on what's going on in a relationship, but at the core, we might always be the person that wants to resolve it right then and there. And the other one might always be the person that wants to take some space and process things first. It's not a right or wrong way. It's just you want to get back to active repair. And active repair can be anything between an apology, an agreement, forgiveness, some type of compromise or mutually agreed upon way to go about things. But most often, this pursue withdrawal dynamic might show up first before you can get to active repair. So find a way. I don't care if it's a code word, have a code word that says, pineapples, everybody's taking a break, we're going to come back in 30 minutes. Or something that says, hey, we know we care, we know we love each other, we know we want to get back to our previous state of affection. But right now, we need a timeout, and we are going to come back to it. And you make that commitment. And that's just a couple of tips on how to get away from the pursue withdrawal dynamic. It's a pattern that can do a lot of damage over time if it happens with a lot of intensity and too much frequency. You don't want too much distance in your relationship, but you also don't want to chase somebody down if they're not ready to talk to you. Okay? So keep that in mind. If you see this pattern show up in your relationship, just keep in mind the alignment. Your common ground is you both want things to be okay, and you have different styles, and you just have to find a way to work around those styles. Respect each other, be nurturing and loving about the way you deal with conflict. Relationships are not about making each other happy. They are about growth, okay? And this is part of how we grow together, by learning how to nip conflict in the bud in a respectful way. All right, that is all for today. Thank you for listening. Follow me on Instagram at The Connection Experience, and subscribe to the YouTube channel. You can go back and look at the other videos, and stay tuned for the next one. Thanks.